It's a total and complete free fall in the ratings for CNN and MSNBC. Unlike anything we've ever seen before, Fox News is now doubling both of those channels in ratings, even when you combine CNN and MSNBC together. How much longer can they last? Will these birds of a feather continue to be on cable even beyond the next year? We'll explain right now. Hello folks, it's a dandy of a day. We're happy that you've come our way and welcome back to the channel, streaming to you from somewhere sunny USA. The studio is glistening because you're listening to what we have to say. You're the gigawatts, click the like button and let's dive in to MSNBC and CNN, scrambling, even dangling at the precipice of absolute disaster. All right, ladies and gentlemen, out of ad week, we have something that I don't think we've ever seen before, and it is, well, it's big news considering where MSN Now and CNN are and where they're going. Out of ad week, Friday, August 22nd, evening cable news ratings. And this is, I believe, the most recent we've got. At the time of recording, it's about 2 days ago. And so they don't release these every day. It says MSNBC and CNN had numerous hosts out. What they're trying to do is they're trying to give a reason for what we're seeing. And what we're seeing is unbelievably bad for MSNBC and CNN. It's unbelievable. It would be unbelievably bad if they were still part of their umbrella corporations, but they've been kicked out. At least for MSNBC, they're being rebranded. We expect mass layoffs. Get ready, folks. I'll show you what's happening. It's unbelievable. Fox News, Mark Machiro is reporting this. Fox News had only one host out on Friday evening. Thank you, Mark, for giving us some reason to, buy into this, but otherwise offer the most stable lineup among the three cable news networks. This is the analysis. This is the excuse. What are we talking about, though? What is it that we've got to mask a little bit? Well, folks, if we take a look at this, and by the way, over at CNN, its top show was at 11 a.m. with Wolf Blitzer. Boy, that was a good day, eh? I'm going to go down here to the demographic. You just got to see this. In the demo, which is the 25 to 54 age range, we're looking at this because this considers the people who are likely to buy the stuff that the advertisers purchase the commercials for, okay? Look at this. When we go to, for example, The 5 at 5 p.m. on Fox News, 355,000 people tuned in to The 5 at 5 p.m., okay, live, 355,000 people in the demo. How many tuned in to CNN and MSNBC? 68,000 to the lead, 90,000 to Deadline White House. What does that mean? It means that when you combine CNN and MSNBC together, Fox News doubled them. Now, just let that sink in for a minute. It's not that they beat the competition combined, and that's usually what we say. That's not the case. Fox News beat them combined if you doubled what MSNBC and CNN were doing. And it didn't just happen once. This is what's amazing. The lead in the beat at 6 p.m., 70 and 54 comes out to be about 120,000 people watching CNN and MSNBC combined. FNC just about doubled it again with Brett Baer, 220. If we keep going down, take a look at Gutfeld at 10 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, just look at this. CNN had 60,000 people in the demo watching at 10 p.m. Last word, I believe that's on MSNBC, it is 91,000, okay? My math tells me that's 150,000 essentially in the demo watching both of those channels. Fox News more than doubled. Fox News more than doubled them combined. Gutfeld had 312,000. These are numbers that are completely and totally unsustainable. And this is why I think it's worthy of our time to say, are these channels going to survive? Like, we are at existential levels of collapse for them. Fox News, I get it. It's the biggest channel out there. But MSNBC and CNN cannot exist in a world where you combine them together and they're still less than half in terms of viewership. And we can come up with every excuse in the world. The only time that this isn't happening now is when Rachel Maddow is on a Monday. Otherwise, these cable channels are becoming so totally irrelevant that it's mind-boggling. Kevin, here's what I'm wondering. We now, I think, are in this phase where we're going to see what they can do when they're spun off. Rachel Maddow says that NBC, this is shocking she would say so, Rachel Maddow says that they were being held back by NBC. Kevin, what say you? How long do these cable channels last on their own now, out in the dark, out in the wilderness, with nobody watching them? Kevin, you'll have to unmute. We would love to hear you, and you'll be even louder then than MSNBC.
Oh, there we go. I was like, how long did Air America last? I'll give them 4 less years than that. Listen, they've only survived because they had a sugar daddy to keep the coffers half full, to put it politely. They're not going to last very long unless someone drops a ton of money and they accidentally find a way to land on a desperate social media, outlet that's just willing to tolerate failure. They're going to go the way of the dinosaur. I think people just in general, or again, it comes back down to authenticity and objectivity. People want the news for information. They don't want to be lectured. They don't want to feel like they're being deceived. And we got to be honest, really, since I'd say roughly around 2016 up until through the shutdown, people got a really harsh reality about how the news functions. Listen, even Fox took a beating. It's still, reigning triumphant, but it's still not quite where it was. So the big alignment here is, I think people are kind of fatigued with the idea of a 24-hour news cycle. They're fatigued with with pontification as opposed to information distribution, and they're just kind of tired of the way this current system actually works. So, have fun trying to survive. I don't want to see anybody lose a job, but I think the reality of it is without a big pocketbook to keep that's willing to tolerate essentially a decade of failure for your MSNBC, they're not going to last very long. And I feel bad for poor Ted Turner, who watched his creation devolve into what it turned into.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Ted Turner, he's still with us on Earth, but I don't know how much he's paying attention to how poorly CNN's doing. If he was, it'd be a sad state. Mark, what is going on where we've got two cable companies, two cable news channels that are now out on their own, and they are spiraling out of control, downward. Meanwhile, Fox is having this surge. What do you think is happening inside society? Is this just a problem with those two channels, or is this a problem politically? And maybe they're suffering because politics has shifted underneath them.
Yeah, I think it's a problem religiously. I think there's a religious aspect here that I'd like to explore. First, I don't know if it's fair to say that Fox is up. I think that they've sort of kept their viewership. The stunning collapse, and I watched CNN and MSNBC ratings. They did this back in May and April too. Were doubled combined. But you have to look back at MSNBC primetime viewers in 2020, and they were hitting like over 2 million, like pretty regularly. And so there was this sort of mass formation psychosis that I think peaked in the late 2000s with COVID and the Russian collusion hoax. People were really tuned into MSNBC and watching what was going on. I think a lot of new voters turned out because of that. And I think that over the period of time, they've lost these people due to trust issues. But the humans that consume news on MSNBC are very different than the humans that consume news on Fox News. We asked what their primary election issues, the number one issues for MSNBC watchers was threats to democracy and abortion. So 75% of them answered one of those two responses. For Fox News viewers, it was rising prices and the border. So those two are very objectively real issues, whereas the MSNBC ones were kind of like canard issues. And so what happened is their ratings have been collapsing, but after the November election, I think the leftists that were really, really watching every second of coverage on MSNBC gave up, got demoralized, and changed their consumption patterns. A lot of people fled Twitter for blue sky. A lot of people turned the news off. And they're demoralized. And I don't know if they're ever going to come back to MSNBC. I don't know if they've permanently lost trust. I think they'll probably keep these things going for a long time because, as you know, Pro, they threw probably $100 million at 538 to keep that thing alive and finally pulled the plug because it got too toxic. I think it was
ineffective, Mark. That was the other problem. It did not achieve the goal that it was purchased for, right?
Exactly. Once your information gatekeeping apparatus no longer works, I guess you throw it out. And so that's probably right, where MSNBC and CNN are at right now. And now I don't know what that means politically, but what I said back in November is that the cult, the core leftist that consumes and reproduces their news narratives with the highest velocity, is going to get smaller, but also I think cultier. And so I think they've sort of lost control of that. and it's gone into liberal echo chambers, and it's probably going to bring them into some really dark Marxist populist places. We have some very troubling polling where like 38% of 18 to 39-year-olds think that the Luigi Mangione murder of the healthcare CEO was understandable. A lot of people following AOC, a lot of people, Taylor Lorenz's cult that basically wants to see CEOs murdered. So I really don't know where leftism is going to go, but it would appear that these outlets are not what leftism is right now. And so I guess we'll have to see what it congeals around. Right now, I guess it's Gavin Newsom still fighting Trump.
And stealing Trump's online conversational style. Mark, let me show you something I find interesting. I don't know if you've ever seen this before. You were talking about, where this goes and who's paying attention to it and the age factor in all this. If we look at the demographic numbers for example, MSNBC, okay, let's just see who's watching this. The demo is 25 to 54. 78,000 people within the age group of 25 to 54, which we think is the largest segment of the voting populace. Maybe not, but it's a big enough chunk, eh? 78,000 are watching. Watch what happens if we go down to the total viewership. If we go to the total viewership, it's over 1 million. Yeah. Okay, so if just everybody, it's 1 million. Now, how do you go from having 78,000 at 4 p.m., and we're just using this one show, but folks, if you want to pause the video and look at the different times, you can. How do you go from 78,000 in the demo to 1 million in total? Well, I'll guarantee you that the 15-year-olds are not tuning in to MSNBC. No. So this is essentially assisted living television, Mark. That's where this is going.
Yeah. Did you visit a No Kings rally in your local neighborhood? That's the same people. It's 70-year-old white sort of post-hippie boomers who sit home, and this is what they worship. And it's not healthy. That is not a growing demographic. They probably are taking a lot of mental health medication as well. And they're probably donating massive amounts to the Democrat Party, and they're like the core. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes, but it's not healthy.
Absolutely. Nat, I want to show you a clip right now, and it's going to be disturbing, so I apologize for that. Audience, we'll all suffer through this together, but I want you to hear the assessment of Joy Reid, who was kicked out of MSNBC, which really takes a level of success to do that in a way that I can't define as success, maybe anti-success. Joy Reid was removed from MSNBC, which means that she's even crazier than people there that are spouting the craziness. Nat, we're going to listen to what Joy Reid has to say about MSNBC, now MSN Now, and what's happening to it. Get ready for how she compares the people on the channel and what they represent to the viewers. Ready? Here we go.
Was not just a channel for a lot of people. It was a lifeline in a world in which every other network was either on the one hand, on the other hand, or right wing. MSNBC was like a respite for people. People believed that every single person on MSNBC was their personal friend. We were their friend in their head. We were the good liberal friend who they could talk with. We were a diverse, interesting crew. We had all kinds of people. We had gay folks, straight folks, men, women, blacks, Latinos, Asians, very few of the Asian, the small, there are not that many Asian Americans that even get these opportunities. We had like multiple Asian Americans. We had all these different people. So we were relatable, right? We were like Sesame Street to people.
Nat, they were like Sesame Street. Sesame Street to the elderly and deranged.
And that's sad if your biggest audience is the one that's talking to themselves and to their own TV. But I do think, for example, Fox News has done some good moves with Brett Cooper and understanding that there is an audience to garner from a YouTube personality, for example, or Greg Gutfeld, and having those clippable moments to put on YouTube and understanding that that's also important. And I don't know if I see the other two, like CNN and MSNBC or MS Now or whatever it's called now, being able to do that and understanding that, because I feel like they need that control and they need to be able to have those people that will continue watching no matter what they do or say. But we also see a lot of the audience, the younger audience, is turning to YouTube, and that's where they're getting their news, or YouTube shows, and that's where they're going. So people that are continue to wonder, oh, where did all this demographic go? I think a lot of it went to the more, once again, authentic and real people that they can actually relate to, instead of these, figures on TV that they have nothing in common with.
The numbers are astounding. Looking into just the breakout as well, folks, I'll say this: when it comes to Fox News, We also see that they skew older, but it's not as dramatically as CNN and MSNBC. I mean, it is at least, well, with MSNBC, it's 10x the people who are watching that are older than the rest of the demo. I mean, that's just crazy. That's just crazy. Vash, Jonas, your thoughts on the situation with cable news? And I guess what you could say is the people who are finding out the news in the demo, maybe they've moved on to YouTube. Maybe that's where we now are.
The idea of what Joy Reid is talking about here, the idea of people connecting with their audience and all that. I'm not trying to be insulting when I say this, but that sounds like great fodder for a YouTube channel.
These are the crazies in your neighborhood.
Do that. Or, put it on Blue Sky if Blue Sky is hosting video. I don't think they are. It crashes all the time anyways, is the last I heard. That sounds like the perfect thing to put on social media instead of trying to get people to include it in their cable package where people are always sweating the price. So it's fine. Just whatever it is you're trying to do, just make sure that the business case is there for what you're trying to do. And if she's having trouble having whatever her podcast is, if it's the Readout or whatever, then I don't think it's a good case for MSNBC. I don't know. I think the real indicator here is going to be, what does Rachel Maddow do if she ever leaves this network, and what happens to all these people if they go out into the ether? Kevin brought up the idea of Air America, which was supposed to be a left-wing response to Rush Limbaugh, essentially, but conservative AM radio altogether. It didn't really succeed. The only way that they were able to take hold was by taking over institutions that were difficult to detrench, like NPR. So this is something that they're very sure the business case is there, but no one wants to pay for it at the same time. So I don't know.
Could you imagine Generation Z, I don't know, guy or girl, getting a cable box and hooking that up? Probably not, right? It's not going to really happen. They have the internet, and they know how to use it. They know it. They're very literate in it. And if they want this programming, well, they can go ahead and seek it out via those digital platforms. And honestly, you probably have more Generation Z consuming some of this content, at least on X or YouTube or other places in which this content is distributed, rather than actually going to those sources in which these ratings would be reflected right there. It's a dying breed right there. Like Mark Mitchell said, nobody's watching this stuff. And the people who are, they're unfortunately for these cable news outlets and so forth, they're aging out. And I don't know if they're going to be able to catch up, because the modality and the medium, the times have changed.
I, for one, cannot wait for Stephen Colbert and Rachel Maddow with their joint YouTube channel venture. It's going to be a not so fun time, but who knows? It could sell some eyeglasses. And that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. We are done for now, but don't worry. Do not fret. Not yet, for more content is still coming your way 4 times a day right here on the Pro Channel. What a joy it has been to share our time with you. We hope you feel the same. Adding value to your every single day is our job here, and we take it very seriously. Folks, the only thing we ask in return is that you consider clicking that like button. Share, subscribe, click it. Stick it to those algorithms. It's the notification bell. And drop a comment right on down below. And folks, if you'd like to subscribe to our partner YouTube channels, That Park Place, That Pod Place, That Game Place, and some of those radio stations like Vacation Radio, well, we certainly would appreciate it. Until the next time we have the honor of spending time and being invited into your day, folks, we go on our way saying this: keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Jump into the water!
Why listen to music made by people and companies who really don't like you? Check out Vacation Radio today and prepare for all new content made by the people behind the WDW Pro Channel. It's the place you need for all the music. That should be fun. Hundreds of songs, every genre you can imagine. Listen live on YouTube and enjoy a set list that's always sunny. It's Vacation Radio.
Arizona.
What are you waiting for? Every WDW Pro video has a link to Vacation Radio in the video description. Try it out and subscribe today.